Hey, what's up, guys? RTF Assassin here, back at you with another lore session, uh, recorded live on stream on Thursday. We are going to be talking about the last week's lore and everything that's happened with the story, and we're going to continue that storyline. Hopefully, you all watched the last video and you really enjoyed it. Something that I think it could really take off. Hopefully you all enjoy the video. We'll be live again Thursday with another one. So until then, make sure you like a video, share it with a friend, comment on a little bit. And if you really enjoy it, make sure you hit that sub button. Hopefully y'all have a great one. I'll see you next week. Assassin out. All right, so start off the week with kind of the reveal of, we finally find out the third party, the one that we weren't sure on, which not real surprising. You know, we kind of knew it was going to be of that variety.
Plus, I looked in the some of the trailers, and they actually had a hive in the trailers, which I found surprising.
Right. So let's jump right into the hive reveal as so is it Savathun, or are we looking at somebody else with who the leader of that third party is?
It would have to be Amaru, because he's leading the Lucent Hive, because the Lucent Hive are only Savathun's brood, but she's dead, so he's like the leader.
Okay.
Savathun's like on a table somewhere in Eris's workshop. In pieces. So Amaru is our only choice.
So what's that mean? So I mean, for us in this current time, what does that mean for us, for our guardians, so to speak?
Questions, right? We go back to why.
Right.
You know, what are they after? I think we spoke about it last week, something that they may be after.
Moths and Nezarek's body, right?
Well, yeah, we saw a lot of clues for the hive for sure, but something I think they may be after is this power of resurrection.
That's kind of what I was thinking.
We kind of talked about that last week a bit, and it would make sense that that's what Amaru would be trying to do. However, it begs a question: Amaru's a ghost. Couldn't he just revive Savathun? So you go back to, okay, what do they need? What would they resurrect? And is the answer Nezarec? Like, is that what their goal is? To bring Nezarec back?
I think if they were gonna bring anyone back, even if they would want to bring Nezarec back, it would only be to bring Savathun back, yeah.
I agree with that.
That makes sense. She's got a ghost.
Yeah, but the thing is she's separated. She's separated from her ghost is the problem.
The ghost has to be like near the body, because I actually looked this up before. They have to like find, I think it's like a spark of light, like for the first time there was someone, they have to like find their actual body. That was the case with us, Savathun, I think Crow, and then
Crow is under that blanket or whatever.
Mm-hmm. And then once they're alive, they have to have the ghost with the spark of light, I'm pretty sure. So like if Amaru wanted to res Savathun, he would have to get near Savathun's body. The only problem is if he does that, he'll get killed or captured.
Right.
So that's off the table, essentially.
And that begs the question too, though, if they're after resurrection capabilities for Savathun, because that's ultimately, I feel like, the end game for him, or whatever, wouldn't he have to be close to her body anyway to resurrect her?
Depends on what powers these
that's true too.
have.
It's definitely too early to tell, because like all we know is Nezarek supposedly can resurrect, or assumedly, I guess.
Right.
So, like,
right.
we can hear his whispers. You know, we know something. Nezarek is tied to resurrection somehow. We don't.
Right. Well, I mean, all the lore that you've read that we see is it talks about how he will rise again. It's, I mean, every piece of lore that we've seen is he will be resurrected or he will rise or, you know, he is. So definitely going to see, I mean, I think you know, we go back to it, and I don't want to talk about Nezarek so much because we talked about it for like 45 minutes last week, but we're definitely going to get a Nezarek in game for this season. I feel like, or to some capacity. I mean,
Yeah.
we're gonna get a resurrection at some point of Savathun. We all know that's coming. We know she's not dead. She's not gone. So we'll see that. But to what end, I don't know, or how. It was kind of like oh crap, Aramis or whatever. We knew she wasn't trapped forever. We knew that she was gonna break free of that. We just didn't know how. And I think it's the same way with Savathun. But the thing is, like, what does she serve? Because was she really the bad guy? You know, she was portrayed as the bad guy in you know, the story for Witch Queen, but was she really? Like, I felt
even
like
before Witch Queen, right? She's been the enemy since, I guess she was blamed for the Last City, right? Or not
Right.
the Last City, the Dreaming City.
Right. Was she? But
I mean,
that was.
there's
Go ahead. You're good.
I mean, Savathun is tied to like everything, you know. Like she's just in some of the stuff like Dreaming City, Curse, you know, Riven, Courier, you know, and what was it when the Endless Night, I guess. Like she
Sure.
just I forgot where I was going, but she's kind of, you know, doing everything bad. Going back to RTF's question, is she really the villain?
Right. She was the big
I don't
bad for
know.
a long time.
I don't. I mean, at the end of the day, we both want to protect the traveler, even if we don't like each other very much, you know. So I don't see her as being like an ultimate villain, but
Yeah.
I
So
think we could definitely get along.
that was where I was going with that. Yeah.
Like if only, you know, even if it's only like to kill the witness, you know.
I definitely. I think a lot of what we see her as though is pre light, pre her having light. So all this stuff that she's done up to that, but after that, she's kind of like viewed it. To me, I looked at her more like an equal to us, and not so much like she wants the same thing we do. She may go out about it a little bit differently, kind of like Drifter-esque almost, you know, kind of same long line, same side, but not afraid to do some things that need to be done.
Like for example, the last mission, yeah. Even though we obviously don't want it because we rely on the traveler, you know, for like just
Right.
everything. She wanted, at the end of the day, she wanted to protect it because she knew eventually stuff bad would happen.
She knew what was coming, so she wanted to protect it. That's why she brought it to her throne. That's why she brought the traveler to the throne world. And that begs the question, like, we're still fighting. At what point do we come to the understanding that we're all on the same side? I know we're totally off the point. We're going totally in another direction.
I don't think so. I think we're in. So
well, I mean,
this is what I've been loving about the lore. Like, just absolutely loving is that it's not just what's happening now, but it makes you think about what happened all throughout the history. So what's happening now with Savathun, Nezarek, Lucent Hive, all this kind of stuff has brought thoughts back to the collapse. And how did we fend off the witness back then? And the little that I know, and I'm not sure how much is in the lore about it, but the little that I know is that Savathun helped us, or helped not necessarily us,
but humanity,
but helped the traveler
Right.
back during the collapse. So this goes back a long time. And there's something there. There's some connection with, Savathun and the Traveler going back that far. And also, there may be some connection with Savathun and Nezarec, as it seems both of them fought against the Witness at that point. Even though Nezarec was a disciple, it seems that he flipped sides. Or flipped sides, whatever it is.
Definitely did flip sides,
Yeah.
You don't have that glaive in the pyramid and you're not in it, without a reason.
Right.
Yeah, I definitely feel like he is no longer, he's not a disciple. He's declared himself for himself, so to speak. I think the thing is, we don't know about Nezarec, and I don't want to talk about him because, like I said, we did so much last week, but it's hard not to at this point because there's so much around uncertainty around what's happening next.
He's central to the story right now.
Right, absolutely. Yeah.
I mean, something to do with Nezarec is why he wants, the relics. Maybe, desperation, because they're just kind of screwed, fighting multiple sides to a war. They don't have their leader.
Yep. Absolutely.
So there's an interesting thing hanging out there, which is unpaid off, I think, lore from a few years ago, maybe even. There was a trade-off with Savathun, and I'm drawing a blank, but the wizard you fight at the end of the Scarlet Keep, and
Hashladun
taught Savathun necromancy.
Was that Hashladun?
Hashladun is at the end of the Scarlet Keep.
Isn't that the one that taught her necromancy?
I'm pretty sure it's Nokris.
Nokris?
Because he got exiled by Oryx.
Yeah, because
practicing necromancy.
So it's not the Scarlet Keep boss, it's a different boss.
I'm not sure what you're talking about, but I know Nokris is strongly affiliated with necromancy.
Yeah.
During Arrivals, he was like the final boss of one of the.
I think I got
missions.
it open. But there's some lore where Nokris traded something to Savathun, and in exchange taught Savathun necromancy.
Interesting.
So again, it comes up like, hey, do we have another way to bring back, Nezarec here? Is the goal to bring back both Savathun and Nezarec?
I mean, I don't know that we know enough.
Perspective, maybe, but I don't think we would want to bring Savathun back unless we had to, I don't know.
I definitely feel like the hive end goal is to bring Savathun back, but I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know that they would want to bring back Nezarec because we don't know what affiliation at this point. He's a wild card essentially, or at this point, because we don't know. And maybe they do. We don't know. We don't know much about him. Maybe they do. Maybe
4 lines. Yeah.
So the question, it goes back to what does the hive want? They want Hashladun, Jesus Christ. They want Savathun resurrected. But where is? I mean, we talked about it. We talked Xivu Arath. Where is she in all this?
Assumedly, she's just chilling with the Witness, right? I didn't read too much on Xivu, but she's kind of backed away after we neutered her military, right?
Mm-hmm. I don't know. I don't know enough about that piece of it. I really don't. But I'm just curious. Like we know Imaru is after Sabathun's resurrection. They're after the relics probably for that fact.
Yeah.
If not to just like negotiate it with us, like even if they don't, I don't know, that could be another possible angle, right? Since we're chasing the relics.
The only reason why, the thing is, we don't even know why we want the relics. We're just keeping them away from Aramis, right? Is that correct? It's the only reason
Aramis wants them, so we want them.
Mithrax knows they're dangerous.
Right.
Oh yeah.
Firsthand, right? Like he knows what they do. He knows what they do to people, and he knows Aramis. He's known Aramis since he was a hatchling.
Yeah.
And so he knows if Aramis gets these pieces, bad things will happen.
Right.
Yeah.
I do like. Let's talk about Mithrax for a minute here. So Mithrax. So we got to hear his side a little bit this week. That was kind. I mean, it was kind of refreshing. We know he's at least It's kind of like we talked about a little because we didn't get to talk about much about him last week, so I want to give him a bigger portion this week. Mm-hmm. He definitely is aware that it can lead him down a dark path. It's kind of what and then Pidge and I were kind of both on the same lines of that last week, to where he knows it could lead him down a dark path and he doesn't want to. But the last line he says is very ominous when he's like, "I'll show you who I really am." And I'm like, well, that's not good or bad. That's just there. That is just saying, hey,
I think it's an implied good.
Is it though?
Like that, the guy with the Nezarec article is not me. Like I'll show you the truth.
Yeah, he's saying. I think he's saying, look, I was a bad person, but now I am a good Kel, I'm let me give me the chance to show you that I'm not that person anymore. That's how I interpreted it.
Absolutely. Yeah. Like I know you heard this story about how I was awful and I was, killing and stuff, but let me show you how I really am. Yeah.
Yeah.
So Frozen is in chat. He says it's similar to us using stasis when we only used it because it was our only option. And I'm assuming you're talking about Nezarec. Is that what we're talking about?
Talking about Mithrax.
I'm assuming Hive. Oh, what?
He's. I think what he's saying is that was kind of a rough time for the Elixni. They were without a world, without anywhere to be. They're fighting for scraps, trying to live.
I got you. Yeah. Okay.
Mithrax did what he could to survive, to get food,
because he was a cow. He was a cow. He was. I get what you're saying. He ultimately he was a bad guy because he had to be, because he's a cow. Is basically.
Especially because his mom, because we can read in this week's lore book, he has a pendant of the Great Machine, and his mom is so no, stop that, very anti Great Machine.
Abandon them, she
kind of pushed. Yeah, I'm not saying that's without reason. I'm just saying his mother hated the Great Machine for the Whirlwind.
Well, she was even more. Stand on your own. Do not depend on other things like that. You need to be strong by yourself.
Yeah. Well, I mean, thing is, she also gives him the what's it though? He gets the. Is it a finger? I think he got a finger or a toe or something.
Yeah, I think it's I think it was a finger. I think that's what they said in the first package or whatever.
Yeah, he has a pendant of the Great Machine. She rips it off of his neck when he's a raider and gives him that. But,
so
you guys hear me?
Oh, hey, Frozen, you're in. Look.
I was not about this, but I got back early and I decided to just hop in.
Heck yeah, we appreciate it.
Saying too much wrong stuff. He's like,
And he's like,
Yeah, I
I
had
want
enough
mine.
of you guys having your free reign. I need to come in here and bring you back in.
I'm gonna set you bitches right. Come on.
Like, I only put that comment right as I tuned into the stream.
Okay.
Oh, I found the stuff about Nokris and Savathun, by the way. It was all part of the interference missions. So it's all voice tracks and stuff. But, yeah, basically, Savathun took Nokris in exchange for learning necromancy or something to that effect.
Well, yeah. We don't know exactly what we know some things to do with necromancy. That's what not specialize. However, we don't know if this thing is what we know with Witch Queen and Savathun getting resurrected from the floor. I wonder what that would have actually been used for, if it is used for anything at all.
What'd you say? I'm sorry. You were. I can hear you. I can kind of hear you. Yeah, you just middle of that. You kind of like spotted out for a bit.
Yeah, give me 1 second. I'm gonna try to fix my headset. But what I'm saying is that with Nokris, we don't know why Savathun wants to learn necromancy from, especially considering the Hive and Savathun herself were gifted ghosts by the Traveler.
Yeah. Some important, probably. I can assume.
Yeah.
Yeah, if Savathun sees it as important, it's probably important. You know.
Well, I think we look backwards for that answer. I think, you know, like we mentioned, Savathun did something to help the Traveler in the collapse. I think the Traveler sees the Witness on the horizon and is putting some pieces in place to protect itself. And Savathun is one of those pieces. And I think there's going to be a couple more to come to battle the Witness. And I don't think we're the only ones. Obviously, Savathun already got a ghost, but, you know, there's more coming, I'm sure.
I need my Fallen Guardians. I need that. Been wanting that since started D2.
What is it now?
Fallen.
I was just talking about like Fallen Guardians.
Fallen Guardians. Sorry, I thought you meant like dead Guardians, but I was like, why? No, but now Fallen Guardians. Got
like a
Mithrax
or a Kel with like six golden guns. You know, that'd be awesome.
Yeah,
who's it going to be is the question.
Yeah,
but too much foreshadowing for it.
In my opinion, I don't think it would be Mithrax.
Yeah, I don't either.
Yeah, big money's on Ido at this point, I think.
Yeah, the big issue was doing it to him is that we're learning so much about him, and just have it all wiped away from his memory would be.
Yeah. Especially since they already kind of did that with Crow, you know?
Well, Crow remembered now, right?
Yeah, he has his memory.
Yeah, but he didn't at the start, you know?
Yeah.
So this time, let's say it's Mithrax here. He happens to know pretty well the Scribe of House Light, who has a pretty detailed account of history. So I don't think it's too much of a concern, his memory, because it's cataloged and can be given back to him quickly.
Yeah, that's not what I'm saying. I'm just saying to be kind of, I feel like an overuse of the guardian or person we know dies becomes a guardian, relearns their memory. Like that's happened with Crow and now Savathun. You know, just feels a little like.
Yeah, but we didn't know Savathun until the end because we gave her memories back. We didn't realize.
Didn't know her technically.
Yeah, she didn't know. We didn't know it until after it was she had already forgotten them, and that whole time we were giving her memories back.
Yeah, I don't know. It feels kind of cheap.
No, I mean, I'm not saying you're wrong. I'm just saying, but the Savathun's a little bit different. I can see Crow. We knew, though. That's the thing. Like, we don't know all 100% of Mithrax back. We saw, Aldrin solves his whole story, essentially. uh,
Yeah.
up until that point. There is some uncertainty to it, but who would it be if we were going to see a fallen guardian? Who could it be? It's going to be
I,
somebody we know because
I think it has to be
One of
Ido.
three.
Or maybe
It
not
could be
has to be
Aramis.
Ido.
The
Mm,
reason I'm
I don't think it could be Aramis, just because the
there,
witness.
it's the worst device ever.
What'd you say, Frozen?
If it was Aramis, that would be such a bad way. Because
Well,
we've
think
already
about the coda, the creed, right? Devotion inspires bravery. Bravery inspires sacrifice.
is the truth. Yeah, that is true. But
And that could fit Aramis. She is devoted to the Elixni.
yeah, I'm just saying we've already had it happen twice. Was the same with this having miss with Mithrax. We've already twice where bad guy gets revived a good person. You see it with
Frozen agrees with me. I'm right.
you'll see it with Savathun. Even though we don't fully know her motivations, we do know as someone who is protecting the trust. We can say that.
Yeah, I mean, she has a strange connection with the Traveler. I'd love to know how that works out.
I mean, I don't know if it even could be Aramis, right? Because couldn't the Traveler not pick the Hive because they got the darkness to choose them? You know?
Well, if she turned on the witness, so to speak, to defend the Elixni, in this case, Mithrax and Ido, like, let's say she turned on the witness to defend the Elixni, I could see that fitting the situation of the creed, the coda, and fitting, right?
Yeah. But what I will say is this: the case of Aramis defecting from the witness after all this, especially if you read the lore book when she is unfrozen, it's less than demand, more of like an order. Either you do this or you're dead. And even if the traveler were to revive her, it would just feel honestly kind of strange to have to deal with this whole bad guy becoming good again. Or bad guy helping out.
yeah, I mean that's true too. I would think Mithrax would have it. To me, it would be my favorite at this point. If we were to see a fallen, it would be Mithrax.
They're leaning more towards Ido because if you remember, was it last week or the week before? Ido mentions that she's staying on comms just when she repeats the Guardian Creed. She mentions that she's staying on the comms just to avoid combat and to avoid and suffer a fate like death, a fate of death.
Yeah, I definitely feel, and I guess this doesn't matter because Traveler, wipes memories, but I feel like personality-wise, Ido seems more fitting.
And it feels like they're forcing more towards Ido than Mithrax.
Okay, that's fair. That's fair.
Well, then also Ido seems to want to unify the Elixni more than most. Trying to bring Aramis back, trying to bring everybody together, setting herself up to look like she could become the Kel of Kels, right? The one to lead them all. And wouldn't it be fitting for the Kel of Kels to have the power of the light?
Definitely would, be fitting because isn't the Kells also be recognized by the Great Machine? That's part of it, right?
Believe
I'm
so.
not.
Frozen?
All right. The issue with the Kill story is that it was started by Skolas when Aldrin back then. It was started with House of Wolves. It wasn't necessarily an actual Kel role until the houses fractured and merged to House of Wolves, now House of Death. Or the formation of House of Wolves and the fracture of the houses in House of Dust and all that it created. So it's hard to say what they will do with that story, with that motive to kill.
Maybe this is just me, liking the Fallen too much, but I feel like that's maybe not too important to drop, but I feel like that's I don't know. It feels kind of too perfect to just get to retcon it. You know what I mean? Or maybe not retcon it, but not use it like a prophecy of like someone uniting the things. And right now, there's what is it 3? Is House of Dusk still a thing?
Yeah, it is.
Okay, that's what I thought. So there's what 3 main houses as of current.
Light, Salvation, Dusk.
Yeah,
Light,
because
You'd
Go
say
ahead.
the House of Wolves is gone now?
House of Wolves is fucking decimated.
yeah, basically all the farm houses have merged into those. Dusk,
Yeah,
GMT.
We've killed House of Wolves. House Judgment is gone. What was the other one? There were a bunch of other ones.
All the other
Spicer,
ones.
no, not Spicers. Devils. Devils is gone. You know,
Merged in was House Salvation.
it's House Salvation because Aramis was,
Yeah, and most
but
of the leaders of the Devils
but
are.
like,
And then what? A bunch of
forgot.
rogue
Yeah.
groups?
Fun fact, I was looking on the Destiny lore subreddit, and there was actually a like a house rat, which I never heard about in the it was the Cade mission when you're in Prison of Elders. I just thought that was cool. House
Oh.
rat.
I feel like that's like a prison game rather than.
Yeah, I know. I just thought it was a cool fun fact.
I like it.
So that for going from that, we can talk about again. We kind of got off the subject because we started talking about, but we talk about Mr. Axe and kind of his reveal. We talked about his perspective of it. We didn't really get a good chance to talk about the reveal of him being bad last week. So I'd like to kind of go back so we don't forget about him necessarily. But do you think, like right now, Ido is very unsure of him? Is that correct in saying that? Like she's kind of hurt, not unsure, but very hurt that he didn't.
I don't know about that. When she talks, she still seems to have a lot of reverence for him.
Well, yeah, I
feel like she's just kind of upset that he didn't tell her, and like you see her talking to Drifter, and Drifter's like, "Hey, I get it," but like, he was probably worried. So she's still upset, but she says it in, I think it was last week when the reveal happened. She's like, she wants to continue working on the thing,
Yeah.
She doesn't want to put her feelings in front of saving maybe, I guess, life in general, with Aramis wanting to collect the fragments.
That's just it. Like, I don't think she's necessarily mad at what happened or mad at what he was. She's more upset that he kept it from her.
Yeah. Kept her in the dark.
She says that. It's
Right.
like he sees her as a hatchling, I think she says.
Right. All right. So we'll go from that, and you brought up the conversation between her Ido and
Drifter.
and Jermaine. Right.
Jermaine.
So
man.
we knew in lore his name was Jermaine. Is that correct?
Eris said it.
Yeah,
Maybe more than once.
Yeah, Eris said it more than once. I'm not sure what. Like, Eris and Drifter have a very close relationship now, especially after Arrivals, Shadow Key, and all that stuff. They have a very close relationship.
Yeah. So we officially hear Jermaine, which is kind of cool, and I like how he addresses it, because it was kind of funny to say. I laughed, I think, even when I heard her drop his name drop him like that. So that was pretty cool. That was a pretty cool conversation, and just to hear how Drifter talked to her, I thought was a really heavy conversation. Like how he spoke and how he carried himself through the conversation, I thought was really cool.
Yeah.
Very endearing. The sweet Uncle Drifter. He
Right.
can be my uncle anytime. I think we go out, get high, have a few drinks.
But yeah, I can't really add much to this since I still haven't done this week's seasonal mission.
No, spoiler alert.
Yeah. Big
sorry.
spoiler alert.
It-
Oops.
I mean, it's good though. I feel like she's on the path, I guess, to being more okay with it, or more accepting of it.
Well, he definitely gave her some food for thought, I think, through that conversation. It was more like, hey, he more spoke from his perspective to give her some, like, hey, look, it's not like, it wasn't like that. Think of it this way kind of deal. So I think it definitely,
especially when he hides the fact that he, knew about it and he's like, oh, I didn't mean to. She probably sees Mithrax was probably thinking, the same kind of way.
right.
At least that's what I got,
Yeah, that was great to have him kind of speak up.
Mm-hmm.
Right. We don't get like as much Drifter as we've seen throughout. I don't think we've really ever seen that side from him. He's more like I that's what I really liked about the conversation with him and Ido, because it was a very short conversation, but it carried a lot of weight at the same time. Because I don't maybe I'm wrong, but I don't think we've really seen that side of Drifter of that. It's more of the very like almost comic relief almost in some cases.
I mean, we've seen some stuff similar, with him talking about his experience, like in the Iron Lord's time, but I can't remember anything recent,
Right.
Yeah, I mean, we had his shady history.
Yeah, I feel Drifter kind of more like a replacement for Cade rather than
right. That the slapstick kind of stuff that Cade was for sure.
Yeah, but still very serious when need be.
Right.
And deadly.
Right.
Yeah, that's for sure.
So direction going from this week, and so we're getting close to having. We've only got 2 more relics to get. That's all it's on the table is 2 relics. So we've got 2 more weeks, essentially, before we find out. Roughly where it's going to. I mean, we'll have that big layoff to where we're looking for at the season's end, where they do the seasonal reveal, tie up and get ready for the next season or whatever. But we've only got about 2 weeks left of doing relic hunts or whatever.
Yeah, and I don't know if you guys noticed, but I've been following the new sound that comes each week, like online. And this week was breathing or like screams. It was something like that. So,
yeah, I did know it was. I did sit in the helm a little bit after I collected the last one and just kind of sit there, and you could hear it. To me, it sounded like low breathing is what it sounded like to me.
Yeah, I heard some kind of loud, or maybe not loud, but I watched the clip and it definitely sounded like there were some screams too.
Well, I couldn't tell.
Interesting next week,
Yeah, it was just what it means going for us forward and things like that. Like it's not as visually, like it was last season where it just kind of took over the whole helm, but we can hear it audibly, which is kind of nice. A little bit.
It just makes me wonder if we'll get like a voice next week, because I feel like that's the next step, right? From quiet murmurings to breathing or screaming stuff.
Breathing, screaming to speaking. Sure. Eventually,
when he's going to talk to us, we're collecting his dead body.
Right.
And that's something that also interests me. what we do know that Nezarek's body was split up into multiple different tombs. With the Drifter being the fourth one. Not sure
That was another one.
Pyramid would be, but yeah, we know it's split into multiple different tombs. Why would that be necessary? What kind of powers does Nezarek have that would require his body to be split up into different tombs in vastly different areas?
That is a fantastic
God of
question.
pain.
So
He will rise again. He is the South. No,
oh, dude, come on. God. So here's kind of what my thoughts are. And I know we kind of talked about, going into next, we get a dungeon next season, right? At the beginning of the season, we'll get a dungeon.
Yes,
Boss, dungeon boss, question mark?
I think Nezarek is simply too big to be a dungeon boss.
I also think
Maybe
he's
that's
on our
crazy.
side. I don't think he's going to be an adversary.
I think
he's
yeah,
going to work
at the
with
very
the
least,
Traveler.
He's going
he'll
to be
be on
a
our side until Witness, maybe. Assumedly, I guess, but we never know. We've never met the guy.
Yeah, I feel like right now Nezarek is serving an unknown territory.
We just know he betrayed the Witness at some point, right? So he would probably be inclined to help us, but we don't know.
Okay.
Or
Just-
Savathun.
I would think he's more inclined to help the Traveler, maybe us indirectly in that sense. But
Yeah, that's what I meant.
yeah,
But I would think he would be more inclined maybe if Savathun, Amaru resurrects him to help Savathun than us. And we're enemy of my enemy, so to speak.
Yeah, for sure.
I wanted to go back to our boy Mithrax for a minute. I might be going crazy, but I think in the previews for the season or in the showcase, they showed a clip of Mithrax having a sword fight
with Aramis.
with Aramis. Yeah, like she swung, he blocked it with like his horn. That's got to be coming soon. Like, there's no way that was in the showcase or preview, whatever video it was in. There's no way they had that clip and it's not going to show up in the season, right? Like, that's not something that happens.
It'll be.
It's going to be in the last week.
Yeah, it'll probably be week 6 or whatever.
Yeah, maybe. For a sword fight.
It's got to be something.
And is that where Ido dies? Does she try to get in between them?
Would be a convenient spot for her to die,
Yeah.
I don't want her to die, but hey, I mean, if I feel like it would kind of be, I don't know, it wouldn't be nice for Mithrax, but it would be kind of making sure he doesn't go down that dark path, or maybe ushering him into it. Something. It'd be a turning point for Mithrax, at the very least, which could be interesting if that hypothetical does happen.
It sets us up again with the devotion, bravery, sacrifice, and death. It's right there.
Yeah, because if anybody, Ido is for sure the most committed or devoted to the Elixni being one people.
Yeah.
Because, like, even though Mithrax and Aramis want to unify their people under their own banner, Ido is the only one to take the first step and call for a parlay.
Right. She I mean, if it comes to blows, I definitely could see her stepping in to say, hey, look, to try to turn Aramis and stop the fight, so to speak. I definitely think that'll be week 6. I mean, we've got 4 pieces. It'll be either, without being obvious, but just for story purposes, it'll be either this coming week or the following. But
yeah.
We're definitely not going to wait until the end of the season to see that fight scene, because there's going to be there'll be some sort of a resolution at that last week of the season or whatever that may be.
Right, because what we know is how Crow or Savathun was resurrected. Well, Savathun not really, but with Crow, it was not necessarily instantaneously after he died. It was.
What'd you say, Frozen?
You said we're not
About Crow?
not sure about the resurrection. What'd you say?
Saying maybe the final week area or the last week cutscene would be Idol being resurrected.
That's true too. Yeah, because it wasn't.
Yeah.
It's not necessarily immediate. It's Savathun dying wasn't immediate. Even though it was immediate for us because we found out, how we found out. But I led to believe that there was some time to pass after she died. And
Was there?
Well, no, Savathun dying was right after, right?
Yeah, she
Well, that was-
died on that
'cause
cliff, and then
Because she gets she does the exorcism, right? And then that she basically has like no food or energy, but she set up a teleport to go to buy the Traveler, and then she dies. There was a time jump between Witch Queen, and then the season, but not Savathun dying.
Didn't Mara get her a little bit too? Mara tried to.
I think she
Maybe-
tried to, she didn't, because she was like insta teleported.
We know she saw a shard of her prison in her. So she did technically get injured, but we don't know if that was what killed her, if it was.
Well, I'm not talking about her. I'm talking about her resurrection. Her resurrection was immediate. It wasn't immediate, was it? It felt like it.
Pretty sure it was.
The
That's
cutscene
what it
looked
felt like in the
it, at least.
cutscene.
Yeah.
Like she died, and then the Traveler was like sending
Amaru
the ghost out, or not?
The
Maybe
big
not
bright
sending the
light
ghost out,
happened.
but then the ghosts were like, "Hey, we can res Hive now." Essentially, because Amara's an old dude.
And then, and
Maybe
then
that's next week. Maybe next week is Imaru. Maybe we get to talk to who we're presuming is leading the Lucent Hive.
Amara's definitely leading the.
Look, I agree.
Yeah,
it just hasn't been
Yeah,
put
it
on
hasn't been.
face so much.
I just it would. I don't know. It'd be crazy if there was a schism in the Lucent Hive. Maybe not crazy, but
we already know from the end of the Exotic Glaive quest and how most of the Hive still follow Umaru. Most of the Lucent Hive and the Hive Garden. Since Amaru's title is First Ghost. Plus, we can also see it in the patrols on the stronghold after we complete it. Amaru giving orders compared to the Lucent Hive.
okay.
that's where I know it from because I still haven't done the glaives.
Good old evidence board.
So, back to the point that I think Frozen was trying to make was, Aldrin Sov now was there for some time before he was resurrected.
Yeah, I guess it's just a choice. I guess go ahead.
Because we did, that was at the beginning of this, the season or whatever where he dies, and then we have it's like 3 weeks, the third week before we got to see that cutscene, right? So,
Well, Aldrin, yeah, it was later, but it was deep into the Oracle, right?
Yeah. No.
Very different seasonal model they had compared to now.
Yeah, yeah. It wasn't week by week, but it was like.
So it was like every 3 weeks. I'm pretty sure.
It's every cycle. Well, it was it was the cycle. That's how the cycle was.
But it was a while till we found out. It was like the third of 3 weeks. So.
Yeah. It was sometime during Black Armory, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, it was Black Armory because that was right after. But actually, it might not. It might have been Season of the Hunt, which they're not Hunt. Here it's called. It's like Outlaw or something.
Joker's Wild.
What'd you say?
Joker's Wild.
No, Joker's Wild was Drifter. It's like there was a season that launched with Forsaken, right?
That,
But it was
that was
very 6 Seasons of the Outlaw. It's something like that.
it. I think that's
But
what.
like, okay,
Yeah, I don't think Season of the Outlaw is different from Forsaken. I think Season of the Outlaw is just what the Dream City content plus Forsaken is called.
yeah.
With the
I
first,
agree.
so,
I'm just saying I think it happened during that and not Black Armory, which doesn't really matter, but pretty sure it happened then.
continue.
All
Do you
right.
think we'll get our Moth Mommy back by the end of this season? Do you think that's something that's going to happen?
First, don't call 17 that.
This or Lightfall, to answer
Sabbathic?
your question. I think it's bound to happen some point, especially with the Hive, entering the fray now. It's just
Right.
we have to relinquish that, or Nezarek has to be resurrected and resurrect Savathun if he, she, they even can. We don't know. We can assume that they can, but
Wait. But first off, Amara's still alive, so 17 still be resurrected. Also,
I know that. That's what I was saying.
Yeah, another point that I'm going to make. Why does another thing that I'm thinking of now, why would Aramis or the Witness want Nezarek to be resurrected? What purpose would that have?
Maybe they
I don't
want
think they
him to
do.
not be resurrected, and
I
they
think they
want,
just want the power.
or they
Yeah.
want us to not be able to resurrect. Because if we have the relics, we could.
We didn't know about the relics until Aramis started.
That's correct. We didn't even know what they were until she started collecting. We knew that she was after some power, so that's what even started us on this pirate hunt, so to speak. So it's definitely, we're trying to keep the power away from her by collecting it. But to what end, we don't really know. We don't really know.
Yeah.
So there is something, obviously. Once we get all the pieces, we'll know a hell of a lot more. So it's speculation, but I don't know what. We don't know enough about Nezarek to make a. We're assuming that he can resurrect. He can resurrect himself and have that, and maybe that's what they're looking for, that power alone, and how to.
Also,
Yeah.
I mean, we can also assume he's pro light because he's like he's called the god of pain, and if you thrive off pain, you'd be like against the Witness, right?
Here's another point that I'd like to make that I just thought of now. This is funny. Each of the relics has some sort of dark advocate. One thing that we don't know is how many disciples does he witness.
That's
At least in the Lightfall trailer, we know Callus would become. What we don't know is if maybe the relics would be used for a ritual or some sort of exchange of power, exchanging Nezarek's power to Callus.
That's not necessarily a bad thought either. Yeah, I didn't really think of it that way, but I feel like there's too much foreshadowing. We're gonna see Nezarek resurrected. I think there's too much foreshadowing for us to not at this point.
Yeah, well, that's where their lore with him kind of started, right? Nezarek's sin had the lore about him coming back, and then you have Nezarek's whisper with the lore, Aramis literally questioning, "Where are you?" as if he's somehow still around.
Right.
And now this season, we're collecting him, so we're finding out where he is. Soon he's going to be in the helm, or at least most of him. So yeah, it all fits together.
I definitely feel like it'd be, I don't know, it'd be kind of lame to do all this setting up, collecting his body parts, only to be like, yeah, we're not gonna resurrect him, I don't know. That's just my 2 cents. I feel like they're setting it up too hard, and maybe that's their whole point, to set it up and then not let it happen. But
Is it possible
Like,
it's not him that does it, but the traveler?
You know,
Out of pure self-interest?
the
Could be.
basic with the traveler, like we already know it was the hive. Like the traveler not being able to give the hive the light because of their attunement to the darkness, and it wasn't until Savathun turned away from the light and from the traveler that the traveler granted them ghost. However, what we've seen with the relics of Nazareth is they emanate a dark essence, so it would most likely be impossible, near impossible to have the traveler resurrect Nazareth.
Yeah, I feel like in most cases you kind of got to pick one, you know.
Yeah.
Well, I don't. I'm just saying. It seems to me the traveler is very interested in protecting itself. It will do almost anything, I think, to keep its to keep itself alive, which makes sense, right? Self-survival is kind of a real
Well, I mean, hey,
base
you know, the
instinct for
whirlwind.
anything.
Another issue that I would have with the traveler resurrecting Nazareth.
And then I mentioned this before. I don't know if you were around or not, but it goes back all the way to the collapse and what happened to Beat Back the Witness the first time. You know, what did Savathun do to help the traveler? She did something, right? And Nezarek, he turned away from the witness. So was he helping the traveler at that point? And so does the traveler look at them as allies against the witness? You know, and could that be why they're coming back? I mean, I don't think it's something we can throw away. I just feel like the traveler is too self-interested and could see these as pieces to help fight the witness.
I feel like Frozen was talking about like what's it, the traveler couldn't pick the hive, you know, because they were tuned to the darkness. I definitely feel like it's a traveler move to, you know, pick Nazareth, so to speak, you know, as one of his things. I don't know if it's possible, you know.
Right.
I feel like that's more of a question rather than would the traveler, because, you know, we've already seen the traveler do stuff for its own survival, you know, whether it be hive guardians, whether it be the whirlwind, you know.
Well, the whirlwind, not really. Well, kind of.
Well, I mean, traveler left, you know.
Is,
like even if Oryx, you know, was causing the whirlwind, you know, or the darkness or whatever, you know, the traveler did leave, you know, and the traveler bunkered down and gave us the light, you know, basically sacrificing itself, you know.
That's what I'm wondering. We honestly don't know how the ghosts were made. Was just a piece of the traveler transformed, or what? And that's another concept I'm thinking of now.
Pretty sure it's the sacrifice the traveler made, right? Also, we have a Master Crush in 9 seconds.
Oh shit! Is it really? Oh, it is. It's 10 o'clock. Holy fucking shit!
We're getting good at this, man.
I thought, we really need to make these longer.
Yeah, I'm going to have to stop signing up for shit at 10 o'clock. I'm going to tell you that now because there's. Originally I was thinking 9:30 to 10 is how long we run this. There was no way we would get anywhere in a half hour. I mean, hell, we can't get all the way in an hour. Jesus. But hey, so back to it. Yeah, we got to catch Crash now. So, I appreciate you your guys' time again. Super fun. We'll keep the ball rolling. We'll be back at it again next week.